Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Papoose, Listen. So I'm just sitting here chilling today. I didn't do any videos today. I dropped a few YouTube shorts. I was tired. I had things going on. I was too busy. And y'all know when I get busy, I don't worry about doing no videos and shit. But at night, when my kids go to bed, that's when I come out and play. Now hear this. People pay attention. Major companies like Nike don't just sign great athletes, man. They sign athletes who represent something bigger than sports. Now, if you let Claressa Shields tell the story, man, please. The gold medals, this and that. We know Claressa. You let Papoose, you let him come talking about, yeah, Claressa, yeah. They can't even say nothing because they're taking her a different direction. And don't get me wrong, I recognize the small wins. I recognize it. Going to Zeus Network. So it's a win. I'm sure there's some money there. But I haven't seen or heard of Claressa Shields, and this goes for a lot of boxers, period, do anything on the level of like what just happened here with Mrs. Wilson. Now, she got a shoe now, right? And I couldn't help but stop and just look at this and say, damn. Why didn't Nike or any of these other brands, why aren't they working with Claressa? And I understand in boxing, it just really don't see a lot of that. I understand that. But with Wilson receiving her own Nike shoe, the conversation about branding, professionalism, and public image, that shit exploded. And I'm sitting here like, I got to talk about this because this is the stuff on my channel we've been talking about forever and a day. And you know me, I'm always talking about it. Attitude. I said, I'm going to sit back and observe Claressa Shields. Let's see. She called into the show. I listened to her. I didn't have any emotion involved. I treated it like me with a subordinate and the subordinate giving me feedback, right? Because if you're in a position of leadership, you should be open to feedback too, right? So I listened to her. I said, cool. I'm going to just sit back. Almost like Leila Ali did. Sit back. Let it play out. And then what I realized is the way Claressa acts and conducts herself, she's not getting any closer to having any company solicit her to represent something of theirs. Now, no doubt, meanwhile, Claressa is dominating inside the ring. But every day people talk about Claressa, it's not because they're hating on her. And I hate to hear the people who come out here talking about people just hating on her. I do believe there's a few, but she comes out here on the internet, man, and she's always immersing herself in some kind of crazy shit. And that's why she faces questions from fans about whether her public image and controversies could be hurting her chances of landing major global brand deals. You know, I push a different type of content on my channel. We talk about a lot of different things. I like to take the conversation in different directions, not just about all the drama. I like to really talk about, hey, what does it take for her to get to this direction and that direction? You know, what does it take for her to get closer to the money, closer to the prestige, closer to being respected? And then a lot of people had that conversation about just her and her team and her relationship with Papoose. You know what I'm saying? So I think we just need to try to break down kind of what companies actually look for when choosing athlete ambassadors, which Claressa could be. I think I'll say this. I think she could have been. But if she's going to be, boy, she needs to do more than overhaul the way she's moving, her image, everything right now. Because her brand isn't, I don't think anyone who's all about controversy and drama and negativity and being in a relationship with someone who's married, I don't think they're getting any closer to having a major company like Nike or any other major company want to sign a deal with them. And I'm just being real and raw and uncut. You know what I'm saying? Claressa Shields has a branding problem, people. And the branding problem could be Papoose. Because we were talking the other night. Claressa Shields, man, I think she was on the cusp of something great. Not right after the Olympics. I felt then, why are they not giving this girl all these deals? Like, I remember y'all go look at my channel. I did videos about that shit. But then even after that, just watching her, then boom, she got involved with the MMA world. I'm like, this girl about to blow up. She had the respect of boxing fans, the MMA athletes, and the MMA fans. Claressa Shields was on top of the world. She was on top of the world. And I really didn't hear nothing negative about her. I know she was a little bit chippy, but we just said, oh, those are fighters. But it wasn't nothing crazy. Then shit went left. So the last couple of nights when I went live, I didn't go live tonight because I'm just too damn tired. But I'm up doing a video, right? We were sitting there just trying to timeline things and say, when did it go off for her? And what we came up with is that shit with Papoose. It's that relationship. And everything since then, she's just gone down and what we feel is just a dark path and not a path that someone who's a two-time gold medalist should be going. Because they're held to a different standard. There's a different expectation. And because of her desire to be less than common, well, greatness outside the ring has avoided her. So I'm trying to break down and understand what companies look for when choosing athlete ambassadors. Why, Aja Wilson earned her Nike signature shoe. The difference between athletic greatness and brand marketability. The controversy surrounding Claressa's public image. How athletes like Serena Williams built billion-dollar brand power. And whether Shields can still turn things around. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't see it happening. Because the kind of stuff that's out there on the internet ain't going nowhere. But at the same time, she's going at Leila Ali and disrespecting Muhammad Ali. I think that right there I just think that's the biggest mistake she could have ever made in her life, is to have these people around her who are just thinking money, money, money. Right? To have her go out there and try to get under Leila Ali's skin any way she can, thinking that would make Leila Ali decide to have some little junior high school goddamn temper tantrum and punch her in the mouth in the ring and give Claressa and her team multiples of millions of dollars in their fucking pocket. It was dumb. Claressa wasn't talking that kind of talk before. So can she turn things around? I don't know about all that, but what I can tell you, when it comes to brands and what they look for in athletes, if Claressa Shields had a signature shoe, a company wants to create a signature shoe, a clothing line. Someone like Claressa with her credentials deserves a shoe. Forget the attitude and the bullshit. Let's just talk about what she's done. From the Olympics as a pro, as a fighter. That's all we're talking about, is what these bings right here. Look up, see my right hand is swollen? See the left hand is swollen? Tell you, man, anyway, it ain't about me, it's about this video. Don't be out there hitting them heavy bags and shit, still thinking you young people. Equipment brands, endorsement deals. Claressa deserves all that. She deserves all that when you're talking about just as a fighter. we sit here scratching our heads like, yo, does she not understand there is a world outside of this fucking ghetto ratchet bullshit that she's been pulled into? And I know some people say, man, you got to understand how she grew up. You know, that's just who she is. Look at her sister. Look at her family. Now, hood, you sitting there expecting someone like her, you expecting a gourmet meal, but she just going to give you government cheese and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm like, man, I'm just sitting here trying to be fair. But I also understand she ain't getting them things because companies are investing and not just an athlete. If they were just investing in an athlete, Claressa would have, I believe 100% she would have all that. I really do. Shoes, clothing lines, equipment brands, endorsements. She'd be out here Wu-Tang creaming, ching-chinging. But again, they're investing in a public symbol. Now, when you think about Claressa Shields, a public symbol, what public symbol comes to your mind when you think about Claressa Shields? Do not enter. Danger. Proceed with caution. Don't take it to the stupid. See, major brands want athletes who represent values, and appeals to millions of consumers. Now, what I'm saying, people, look, man, y'all can get mad at me and shit if you want, but I'm going to sit here and say what I got to say, man, because this right here, I may be the one right here, man, who maybe she'll listen to something. Because there's no other female boxer out here that has 2 effing gold medals and all the accomplishments that Claressa Shields has. No one. Katie Taylor has a boatload of shit. But there's only one Claressa Shields. When you're talking athlete, you got to understand, companies aren't just investing in an athlete, or they would have been invested in Claressa Shields on a level like this. But as a public symbol is what they're looking for. What Claressa Shields brings to the table? And if there was something in the last, 2 months, forget that, 2 hours, what has she done? Because they want athletes who represent values. What values, right, is Claressa Shields displaying? What values is Claressa Shields displaying that can appeal to millions of customers? Not her talking. We all can talk. What is she showing? Her ass? Oh, I got that pee back there. Man, please. Papoose, my butt. I got to pee. My hood champion called her lobster tail. My lobster tail. You like seafood? Come on here, get some of this Alfredo. That ain't what they want, man. The core things brands look for, marketability. Brands ask one simple question. Can Claressa Shields sell products to people who aren't sports fans? I'm asking you all, to the Claressa Shields fans and also the haters. Can Claressa Shields sell products to people who are not sports fans? Can Leila Ali? Yes. The biggest athlete brands in history reach audiences far outside of sports. Who in women's boxing right now can possibly do that? Baumgartner? I think she could. We don't know yet. But as long as she keeps it clean, that social media presence, she got to be careful not to get caught up in the bullshit. We know they're fighters, but still. Are you showing the values that appeals to millions? But Baumgartner has something going with her look, and I'm not talking about the face. I'm talking about her physique. She's like a fitness. She's like somebody who gets involved in fitness competitions. So that is something. When people will look at her, they don't even think boxing. They should agree. She has something. Because when you get to know her story and how as an athlete and playing basketball and the family structure and the mother wanting her to go to college and the coach saying, look, this boxing will be here. Go get your degree and then we'll pick up where we left off. Going to college, excelling in college, winning championships in college, getting her degree, then coming back to the sport and becoming a champion. That shit registers with millions of people. And there's certain values attached to a person who can go on and achieve those kind of things. And her social media presence, she seemed to have cleaned that. Nobody's doing nothing on the level of Claressa Shields. But the back and forth and all that, you can see that's all that's been cleaned up. I'm so glad. Because obviously there's people who, at first, these are intelligent women. So even they're saying this is dumb. But I'm sure there are teams around them who's like, we don't need to do that to be great. Because they don't have an agenda. They're not trying to take them to Zeus Network. They're not thinking about just their pockets. You see, the biggest athlete brands in history reach audiences far outside of sports. Now, we can think about Serena Williams. I know Clarissa has mentioned Serena Williams. Look, there ain't nothing about Clarissa and Serena Williams. There's no similarity there. They're both what? Similar complexion. That's it. They ain't got the same build or nothing. There ain't nothing about them the same. Except they both, the complexion. But then you talk about Serena Williams. Billion dollar brand. Michael Jordan. I already know what it is with that dude. LeBron James, you know what it is with that guy. These athletes became cultural icons, not just competitors. Now, when you think about Claressa Shields, well, how's she fit in with Serena Williams? She doesn't. How's she fit in with Michael Jordan? She doesn't. How's she fit in with LeBron James? She doesn't. And she's never going to get anywhere close to that because I think there's this irreversible damage that's been done to her brand. All of that talent and going down the wrong path. And I blame her because she's adult, but I blame that team. Because just a couple years ago, everybody was out here almost chanting, Claressa Shields, MMA, boxing. Everybody was out here rooting for this chick. Look at shit now. You got to stop and think, how did we get to this point? Because of personality and public image. Companies want athletes who inspire people. Does Clarissa inspire anyone? I believe she does inspire people. I do. Not on the level of a Serena, Jordan, LeBron, Leila Ali. Hell no. But she does. And that may be enough for her. Does she represent positivity? Now remember, for me, I ain't online that much. But for what I see online, I ain't seeing nothing positive. I'm seeing drama. It's just like yesterday when I saw that damn somebody posted something. It popped up in my Twitter feed about her and her Megan Thee Stallion, and let me know we could bring Pap to a video and my booty skills or something. I'm like, what are we talking about here? Is that the positivity that you representing? Do you appeal to multiple demographics? Because I'm telling you right now, outside of whatever demographic that she seemed to appeal to, the other ones are gonna look at that and they're gonna be like, It's not even a long handle spoon. They're just getting the hell up out of here. We don't want nothing to do with that. And I think everyone needs to understand, sponsors want someone who can appear in commercials. Can Claressa Shields appear in a commercial? Man, please, this Captain Crunch tastes good. Papoose, come over here. Man, please, these oodles and noodles are the best soup. Man, please, this Chef Boy RD. I mean, what commercial is she going to be in? She going to speak to the kids? I believe she can do that. I believe that's one thing I'll say. I'm always making jokes. I talk serious and mix it with humor. But when it comes to the kids, I do believe Clarissa has something about her when it comes to children. I know some people, I've heard of things they say, but I do think there's something there with her when it comes to kids. I think she has an ability to connect with kids. But the problem is, you know, you just see so much of the aggression from her to where I don't think I don't know if someone would want to risk it, because you just, the aggression you see online. And then that stuff that happened with the family, where the mother and the kids were asked to leave the event for the gift giveaway. That shit is all over the internet. That shit's everywhere. So when these companies are choosing to work with athletes, and they say, okay, maybe we can get past, she's a boxer that's supposed to be rough around the edges. We're not worried about that. We want it in the commercial. But what about with the kids? Is she good with kids? And then somebody said, well, hey, you may want to look at this. They're immediately going to leave that shit alone. Immediately. No, we can't work with it. Don't care if it's true, not true. We don't want it. No. Deal done. That has nothing to do with Leila Ali. It has nothing to do with the Zeus Network, the baddie shit, and whatever else she's doing on the internet that a lot of us feel like, maybe she shouldn't go that route. That stuff with those kids and that mother. And that little boy was the face of the Flint, Michigan crisis, water crisis. They ain't gonna touch it. Coming to charity events. Can you come to charity events? Can you represent the brand globally? Y'all answer those questions. The other thing they're gonna want is consistent behavior. Just think about athletes as a whole. And while we're talking, and I'm saying Claressa Shields, right? Because that's kind of what I talk about over here. I talk about everybody, but just because I just feel like it's sad to watch somebody like her just crumble in front of us. You know what I'm saying? It's just sad. It really is, man. But you can think about any athlete, from a female boxer, male boxer, female athlete from another sport, male boxer from another sport. Just apply this to them. The consistency behavior. Brands avoid controversy whenever possible. Whenever possible, they avoid that bullshit. Companies worry about social media outbursts. What do we get on social media from Clarissa? And a lot of athletes. Public feuds. Have there been any public feuds we need to worry about? Scandals. Any scandals going on we need to be worried about? People talking about? If an athlete becomes unpredictable, a brand risks millions of dollars lost. What are you going to get with certain athletes? Do you know where you're going to? Do you know the things that life is showing you? May not know all that, but you know one thing for sure. Clarissa's unpredictable. Now that global appeal, a signature shoe, requires mass appeal. Companies ask, can this athlete connect with fans worldwide? Can they represent the brand in multiple cultures? And when I think about this, I just feel there was a time that Claressa could have. Coming out the Olympics, fighting, being around a lot of different people. I mean, just really, really robust fight schedule, really high intensity, strongest survive kind of thing. And she did that. She did that. You got to give her credit. She did that, man. But right now, I'm just telling you, I think right now she's kind of moved away from that. And again, it's kind of sad. But there's the authentic story is something that a lot of brands, they love. I still haven't seen that movie, The Fire Inside. I want to see that movie. But I haven't seen it. I'm just busy as hell. I don't have time to sit down for 2 hours and watch anything. And my kids, they weren't trying to go to the movies and watch that. But I am going to probably make time to watch it when it comes to Netflix. Hopefully it comes to Netflix and then I'll watch it. But the authentic story, it sounds like she has an authentic story, a powerful life story. I haven't seen the movie, but from just what I hear, sounds like it's a very, very powerful life story. And the best athletes often have the inspiring backgrounds. Clarissa has that. Stories of perseverance. She has that. Positive message for young fans. I'm not going to say she doesn't have that because I don't know. I'm just going off what I see online. And a lot of times, that's not everything about a person. So I don't want to say she has that. She can inspire, she's persevered, and she has a positive message for young fans. But the thing that we need to understand is, okay, we get it, right? But the Aja Wilson receiving the Nike signature shoe, why? Why did she receive that? Because that's a major moment in sports marketing and also for women's basketball. Nike didn't just look at her stats. They looked at the complete picture. Now, you follow the channel, you always hear me talking about the whole person concept, right? I'm always talking about that whole person concept. I'm always, because that's just my background. But when I come out here and do my research and I see what these brands are looking for, that's what they're looking for. They say the complete picture. But they're talking about the whole person concept. Same shit, just said differently. They looked at her achievements. Wilson has championships, MVP awards, Olympic success, leadership in women's basketball. But achievements alone aren't why brands invest. And let me show you this. Right here. This was a post. You thought we'd sleep on an SEC champion, national champion, number one draft pick, 5-time All-Star, U.S. Olympic gold winner, WNBA Finals, MVP, statue having New York Times bestseller, Time 100 most influential people in 2024, two-time WNBA champion, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, two-time WNBA MVP, and prettiest hooper on the internet. You thought, of course, I just got a shoe, A1, arriving 2025. It's supposed to be dropping soon. So when you think about all that and you listen to that, it kind of explains why that shoe came, you know what I'm saying? But achievements alone aren't why brands invest. It takes more than that. And we know when it comes to Claressa Shields, she's always talking about 2 gold medals, 19 world championships, 5 weight divisions, and what is she, 3-time undisputed or something? You see, with the Wilson, Miss Wilson, man, she's known for professionalism. She's known for leadership, community engagement, positive messaging. She's known for all that. She often speaks about empowerment, mental health, supporting young athletes. Leila Ali is right there. You know what I'm saying? Philanthropy. And when you have people like that, it makes them safe and inspiring for global marketing. I went to her Twitter page, and you just can't go there and see what she does. Nobody can. And brands love athletes like Miss Wilson. She checks every box. Elite talent, positive personality, inspirational story, professionalism. And she's not telling us that she's positive. She's not telling us that she inspires. She's not telling us that she's a great mentor. She's a great leader. She's not here trying to sell us. She demonstrates through her actions. And when you have a combination like that, it makes companies comfortable building multi-million-dollar campaigns around you. What company right now do you think would want to build a multi-million-dollar campaign around Claressa Shields? All that boxing greatness. All of that boxing greatness. Something never been seen before. Never. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records. Probably won't see the shit ever again. What Claressa Shields has done. And that's why I say, man, we can sit here and have conversations, and most people don't give Claressa Shields any credit, but I'm going to tell you, I got to give credit where credit's due. There's no denying the accomplishments of Claressa Shields. Inside the ring, she's one of the most accomplished fighters in history. All right? Simple. Male or female. But those achievements include, man, everything that I mentioned. Dominating. Multiple weight classes. And I know some people want to slam her for that, but she's beating champions. If you're beating champions, you got to give her credit. The Shadesha Green fight, we're hoping for that. And I think it's going to happen. But what can she do? She's not 125 pounds. So from a pure sports perspective, Claressa Shields is extraordinary. Okay? Many fans consider her one of the most talented female boxers ever. Some say she is the most talented female boxer ever. And one thing's for sure, she is one of the most decorated fighters in the sport of boxing, male or female. Now, all of that's fine and dandy. But I'm going to say this. Athletic greatness doesn't always equal brand success. One of the biggest realities of sports marketing, being the best athlete does not automatically mean being the biggest brand. That's not how that works. It's like I was watching this documentary on Navy SEALs training, and you have this big, strong guy, big, strong, intimidating-looking guy, and he had this little guy over there, that little wimpy looking ass. The SEAL training pops off. At the end of the training, big guy's nowhere to be seen. He couldn't even get through the first 2 days. The little guy, wimpy, he completed the training. He was able to lock in here and get through all the bullshit. And it's kind of like with brand success. The best athlete doesn't automatically mean being the biggest brand. You can be the best athlete, but then you have that other person who's a good athlete, but they end up going on to be bigger and accomplish more than the person who has probably more physical talent, but because there's something else that's different about them. Because brands often evaluate athletes based on their image, marketability, public perception. It's like with that SEAL training. That shit is a lot about how you work with people, can get along with people, and also mental endurance. Because that training ain't no joke. And this is why some athletes earn enormous endorsement deals while others don't. Like in that SEAL training, that's why some of those guys make it through, but the majority don't. Because it just takes a special type of individual to do that. And the same thing when it comes to these endorsement deals. A special type person is going to receive the endorsement deals. The other ones won't. And that's where you got to understand the public image and brand risk. Companies spend millions protecting their reputation. So they analyze social media behavior, interviews, relationships, controversies. Let's just stop right there. Right? For those who sit there and say Claressa should have this, she should have that, I gotta stop and say, hold your horses. Let's stop taking it to the stupid. I think there was a point in time where I was having that discussion. Right now, I totally understand why it's not happening, and it won't happen. Just understand this: companies spend millions to protect their reputation, and they analyze social media behavior. When you just think about social media behavior, what goes through your mind when you think about that? Interviews. When you think about some of the interviews she's done, what goes through your mind? Relationships. What goes through your mind? Controversies. What goes through your mind? And if this is what companies are analyzing, just understand, if athletes become associated with drama, companies sometimes hesitate to partner with them, and often they choose not to work with them. What do you think drama is? Any drama with Claressa? You got to understand there are a lot of athletes out there, man, from different sports. And there are comparisons that are made. Many athletes built massive brands by controlling their image. And again, I'm going to talk about, for example, Serena Williams. She became a global icon because she combined dominance, professionalism, and business vision. But professionalism. She carefully built partnerships with Nike, fashion brands, and major corporations. And look at it now. They're in the breeze. And you got to understand how to use social media. It's now a major factor in branding. And for anybody saying, well, you hood champion, I don't give a shit. Retired military cat. We just don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Especially coming out of that combat Air Force fucking world. I ain't going to get into all that. We just don't care about shit. I don't care. I grow my beard out, I shave, I let my hair grow. I don't care. Yeah, we earn the right to do what the fuck we want, so don't worry about hood champion. Hood champion is okay. I just don't give a shit about too much. And that's just being real. But one thing about social media, it's now a major factor in branding. And it's a dark place. And athletes today need to understand that. Every post can affect sponsorships, endorsements, business opportunities. Companies monitor how athletes behave online. Companies are watching that. It's just like when I was getting ready to retire, there's briefings that we go to, and I remember at a briefing, they were telling us, you need to make sure whatever social media profiles you guys have, you need to make sure you create something separate, and you need to make sure the ones you have, they're cleaned up. Sanitize those damn things. They told us that. Companies will see you applying for a job, and they'll look at your name, and they'll go on to Facebook or LinkedIn, and they'll search you up and see what kind of shit you got going on. They'll go just right to Google and Google your name and see what comes up. And I didn't know that, so I went to that briefing. I'm like, damn, what's wrong with these people? But it's because companies who want to hire you, they want to get an idea who we're getting, what are their interests, what kind of things are they doing. And they go out there, and some people have these public profiles, and they go see all kind of shit, porn, stuff they would consider offensive. They see shit, you would never know that. They just pass on you. You would never know. Or if you make the cut and they want to hire you, they go do that, then they just, sorry, man, we decided to go do something different. I mean, you would never know what it was. It was because of your social media presence. And they're just looking to see how you behave online. So, even I know that shit. So that's why there's an importance of professional branding, man. If you want to become a global brand, you got to control the messaging, maintain professionalism, focus on long-term reputation. Even small controversies can affect business deals. That's why your team is extremely important. The role of your management and advisors, your team, the team around every athlete is extremely important. Great advisors help athletes to avoid unnecessary drama, to build relationships with brands, to focus on long-term opportunities. When athletes receive the wrong guidance, their brand can suffer irreversible damage. So there's a lesson to learn from when you see this deal that was attained by Wilson. That signature shoe shows something important. Companies reward athletes who combine greatness, professionalism, inspiration. It's a blueprint for future athletes. And for anyone out there who says they want these things but's wondering why these things are just, avoiding them and not coming their way, well, stop and pay attention to what she did. Pay attention to it. How'd she do it? Because there's a blueprint there. She's got to follow it. The major discussion amongst fans today is whether Claressa Shields can still build a massive global brand That's what we talk about on my channel a lot. We recognize the talent. We're just like, damn, is she ever gonna get to that point? Her career's almost over. She's been fighting for a long time now. I think, what, about 10 years now? To think she fight another 10 years and she want to have kids and do all these things with all this drama online, all this craziness. She gonna be a gwody. She talking about being a gwody or some shit? Baddies and all that? What massive global brand she gonna build with all this negative bullshit? Them companies ain't getting nowhere close to her. I'm not saying there won't be some kind of opportunities from people who are cool with that kind of drama, but I don't know of any. Maybe y'all do. Remember, I ain't on social media. I ain't on the internet like y'all are. Y'all probably know. I don't. You know what I'm saying? But I tell you what, her accomplishments, I think her accomplishments give her really, really good potential. But branding in modern sports requires more than talent. Again, it's just not about her getting in the ring fighting. It takes more than that. You got to have discipline in your public image. And that is very difficult to do, man. You got to have very careful messaging and long-term reputation management. And you can't be in a relationship with a married man. It's not Hood Champion's philosophy. Y'all go out there, do your research. Google, how do brands view entertainers, athletes, when it comes to trying to, create these deals with them, when they're caught up in scandals or infidelity or with a married woman, married man. Look at that shit and see what the output is. You'll be surprised. I read up on that shit. I read up it must be like 4 pages. I did some research about 2 months ago. I did a video. Like 4 pages of shit I read. And I mean, with a fine-tooth comb, and I was like, damn. It's a big deal. Now, with me, Claressa Shields can do what she want. I don't give a shit. Her and Papoose and Remy, I don't care. Y'all know I don't care. It ain't my business. It's entertaining to hear people talk about it, but I don't care. But when it comes to these deals and endorsement deals and all this other stuff, they care. Companies care. So, I don't know. I think the real question fans are just debating is, can Claressa Shields reshape her brand right now, like today? Can she reshape her brand and become a global icon? Like Serena Williams, Michael Jordan. Can she do that? Or will her legacy remain focused primarily on her accomplishments in the ring and the drama outside of it? And this is a real conversation for people to have. And anybody out here who's thinking that, she's just fine, she's okay, you the problem. You know what I'm saying? You the problem. You have a son or a daughter who's out there caught up in promiscuous activities, drinking, smoking, doing drugs. He or she's okay. You the problem. Because you ain't thinking about long-term reputation management. You the problem. Hey, yo. Keep cool, I'm in the breeze.